What up, everybody? This video is crazy. You'll hear the cop pretty much threaten these young people, and then whine about it. Oh, well, there's four of you and one of me. Well, that's not a valid excuse there, Chica. We'll get right into it.
We get complaints all the time about people hanging out. When we see a building that none of the lights are on, all right, and I see a bunch of people hanging out, I don't know what the deal is, all right? Let me do me a favor, just have a seat real quick. Just have a seat. Okay, thank you. So that's the reason for the stop. These guys see a bunch of people hanging out here, no lights. They want to talk to you, want to figure out, hey, who lives here? What's the deal? Are you guys breaking into the place? You just hanging out, having a few drinks? Really no big deal. Is there any other illegal activity going on that we should be made aware of? So at this point, you're all being stopped in this suspicion of trespassing. We're gonna get everybody's information. We're gonna go through and make sure nobody's got drugs or guns on them, and we're gonna get everybody's name. If anybody wants to fight or run, I'm a little trigger happy, guys. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I get paid a ton of money in overtime. If I have to shoot somebody, I don't do anything stupid. All right? Hey, listen.
Trigger happy for what?
Boys, I've been averaging a gun a week around here. You know, it's crazy. But if you guys got anything on you now, all right, as the sergeant, I can give you a summons for any violations. I can give you a PTA if you end up having to go in. As long as if you guys are cooperative and honest with me, I will afford you the same opportunity in this process. Okay? With that in mind, does anybody have anything on them that I should know about?
Just walking by like this. You can search me and I keep it moving.
My man in the red, you have not said a word, and you haven't given me any indication that.
I mean, you saying trigger happy, that's why people
yeah, that's spooky, like, for real, like.
Well, it's four of you, one of me, alright?
No, you can search me out, and I want to keep it moving, because I ain't do nothing. So you can search me.
Does anybody have identification on them? Let's start with that.
I got mine.
Perfect. Anybody else got their IDs?
Yeah. Just walk here.
Do you mind if you grab me your ID, sir?
Stand up, get in my left pocket.
Yeah, thank you. Flashlight. Thank you, sir. Just have a seat for me. What's your last name, sir? Soda?
Solar.
How you spell it?
Solar.
Solar?
Oh.
What's your first name, sir?
Armando.
Armando?
Yeah.
Oh.
ARMANDO.
What's your date of birth, Armando?
2892.
10?
2892.
How old are you, bro?
25.
Where do you live, Armando?
Hollywood Ave.
Louis, you live on Francis Ave?
Yeah.
What number Hollywood, bud?
164.
Anybody got any warrants that I should know about?
No.
Boys, and the other thing is, nobody's leaving this area until pictures come back. So before we get names, just make sure you give me legit names. All right?
Okay.
How about you, sir? What's your last name?
I'll give you my ID.
Perfect.
In 2016, and the one and only Barone was part of this too. Failure to end a police chase because they were chasing the dude through the city with kids and everybody outside supposedly, and then afterwards I don't think he actually whooped them, but he had, well, he might have. They didn't really say what he did. They just said he didn't really act right. So, but, and there's other things too. I just can't find them. But they're saying he has a lengthy history. Sad, isn't it?
We are pleased with this decision because we don't believe that this is the issue at play. The issue at play is not trespassing. The issue that is real is that there was an officer who just operated in misconduct and did something and took something too far. So we are here to support him. All the charges have been dropped and we celebrate that today. But now the real issue is what decision is going to come from the Hartford Police Department and the city.
I'm relieved that the charges against me were dropped. I just felt like this is only because I recorded the incident. I don't think the same outcome would have happened if I didn't. And I'm just anxious to see what the decision with the police. It was definitely nerve-wracking. It was spooky, as I said in the video. And I just felt like I needed to record whatever was gonna happen.
A Hartford police officer who was recorded on video warning a group of young people not to flee or fight because he was trigger happy has been demoted and faces a disciplinary process that could lead to a suspension or his firing. Hartford Police Chief Rosado announced that Thursday that Sergeant Stephen Barone was demoted to officer and assigned to desk duty after an internal affairs investigation found he violated the department's code of conduct. Mayor Luke Bronin said the disciplinary process could take several weeks. Barone had no comment for NBC Connecticut Thursday, and his union representative at the Hartford Police Department has yet to respond to our request for comment. A Facebook video that surfaced showed Barone telling a group he stopped last month that if they tried to flee, he's a little trigger happy, and added he gets paid overtime if he has to shoot someone. Church leaders were shown new video last week from the incident in question, and Hartford police released the new clips Thursday. Barone can be heard saying, "Let me let you in on a little secret. I was expletive you before. When you shoot somebody, you get no OT. My base salary, I'm going to make double this year. I would lose $70,000 if I shot somebody. I'm not shooting anybody unless I have to. That means I got to sell my cars, move from my nice house, because that's 70 grand less make a year." Pastor Stephen Camp told NBC Connecticut all kinds of emotions banging against each other. We watched it because we had to watch it. Our community was on the line. I acknowledge we can do better. I take responsibility for that, Chief Rosado told NBC Connecticut. Rosado stated he was concerned and frustrated, adding, "The words he used were inappropriate, no doubt about it." Rosado wants to ask the public to remember that one bad day does not define the department, the majority of which, Rosado adds, don't have disciplinary video. Well, of course not, because most people don't video the cops. If they did, they would all have disciplinary video. I made the decision. He did not exhibit the traits of a good supervisor, so therefore I made that action, Rosado said. No, you did it because the public was having a fit. That's the only reason. An internal affairs report found Barone's conduct discredited the Hartford Police Department and that he violated the code of conduct and had a discourteous attitude. If only all police departments fired officers that discredited the department, even Hartford. It seems like, they did it this time? Wow. Good for you guys. Start doing it on a regular basis and maybe we'll be impressed. Rashawn Johnson, the person who took the video, previously spoke with NBC Connecticut about the incident. Johnson was issued a summons for trespassing. Some local and community leaders are calling on Chief Rosado to fire Barone and drop the trespassing charges against the Johnson and the others that were on Heath Street the night in question. We are demanding at this moment that the charges be dropped today for Mr. Johnson. His life was threatened. This whole thing was completely unnecessary, Reverend A.J. Johnson with Christian Activities Council told NBC Connecticut. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. If the chief was such a good guy and the department was so wrong, why didn't the police department drop the charges? Why did court have to drop the charges? Oh, because the police chief really doesn't care. Mayor Luke Bronin said he thinks the new videos will be as distressing and disturbing to many people in the community as it is to him. The additional video, I think many will find, as I personally have found, that some of the comments made by Sergeant Barone, while not threatening in the same way as the comment trigger happy was threatening, were in some ways as disturbing, if not more disturbing, to hear from a Hartford police officer, Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin said. And they said there was 15 minutes of video released, and this happened, I think, 2016-ish. I can't find anything other than a 3.5-minute clip. I don't know where it is, what happened to it. It is nowhere. Bronin said during a media briefing Thursday that an officer is entitled to a hearing process before there was a termination or unpaid suspension, and that process will begin. All those options are on the table, Bronin said. The hearing for Barone to answer the charges and determine his future is September 11, 2018. Last month, the city of Hartford launched a public relations campaign to try to manage the fallout from a video in which then manager Stephen Barone, a police department manager, threatened a group of young, mostly black and brown people by saying he was trigger happy. As the Hartford Police Department and Mayor's Office announced that Barone had been demoted, they pulled from a familiar playbook by trying to portray him as a single bad apple gone rogue. Hartford's new police chief, confronted by rightfully upset city residents, responded with a PowerPoint presentation to the city council yesterday. After the public pressure and Rashawn Johnson's bravery in speaking out about Barone's threats, the Hartford Police Department fired Barone. The problem is the city of Hartford signed a 6-year contract valid from 2010 through 2016, which guaranteed a bad system, not just bad apples. As long as the city continues to bargain away its ability to create true police accountability, the kind of unacceptable behavior on display in the trigger-happy video will be a feature of Hartford's police department, not a bug. Police unions, like other public sector employee unions, use a collective bargaining process to gain contractual agreements for workplace conditions rather than negotiate terms of employment individually. The employees band together and negotiate one set of rules for the workplace. These agreements, called collective bargaining agreements or CBAs, serve as a contract between the government and its employees in the police department. CBAs can be critical for protecting workers' rights, but when it comes to police, they can undermine accountability. With this one document, towns can bargain away their abilities to hold their own police employees accountable. Wow. Employees who, unlike public school teachers or service workers, use violence and deprive people of their rights through arrests. Oh, so what they're saying is that unions don't benefit anyone other than police and criminal police. Go figure. Doesn't help the public. In addition to addressing workplace conditions like pay, police CBAs almost always govern disciplinary procedures and whether and how the employer can review an employee's job performance. Many police CBAs in Connecticut also decide who has ultimate authority over disciplining department employees. This can be a fellow town employee like the chief of police, an elected authority like a town council, or another person or agency. Many also prescribe how the police department handles discipline related to a complaint from a member of the public. That's how Hartford ended up promoting Sergeant Sam Barone, the manager caught threatening youth on video despite his history of disciplinary issues. Only 39% of Connecticut police departments have collective bargaining agreements that mention performance reviews, meaning less than half of all police departments in Connecticut are contractually obligated to review how their employees are performing. On the plus side, the Hartford Police Department is one of those departments. The city of Hartford agreed to a CBA allowing the police department to conduct annual performance reviews, but that contract unfortunately prevents the city from using performance reviews results to affect an employee's contractually scheduled pay rate within their job classification, pay range, or growth increment. In other words, Hartford police officers are guaranteed year-over-year raises regardless of their on-the-job conduct, which is mind-blowing. In any other career or field, you don't get raises or things like that just because you're there. Not anywhere I've worked, at least. I've always had to learn new things, do new things, become a better worker at what I'm doing to get raises. And that's the complete opposite, it seems like, for police, because you could literally do whatever you want and, as we see, be a horrible human being and do the opposite of your job and still get raises on time, still get promotions. Doesn't make sense. Yes, that's right. A police employee in Hartford who receives a bad performance review will, by contract, stay on track for a pay raise. The city of Hartford negotiated away its rights to effectively hold individual police employees meaningfully accountable for their on-the-job performance. Hartford CBA is also why Stephen Barone's disciplinary history, as reported in the press, likely had no effect on Stephen Barone's promotion to manager or his assignment to the department's newly created Community Response Unit. In its CBA, the city agreed to allow certain police employee disciplinary records to play no role in future discipline and, by extension, future promotions and assignments. In Hartford, records of a police employee's oral discipline disappear after 1 year. Written reprimands disappear after 2 years, and both kinds of discipline will be disregarded in any future disciplinary action. This is fairly common in police collective bargaining contracts in Connecticut. Under this system, an employee could routinely be disciplined for hurting or threatening people, but have that discipline disappear within a year. Go figure. How does a city almost guarantee that employees are subject to a low risk of public scrutiny and shielded from potential discipline? Simple. The city agrees to restrict investigations of complaints from the public to only complaints where people give a sworn statement, and it does not guarantee that anonymous complaints will be investigated. In its police CBA, the city of Hartford also agreed to that, although Connecticut laws requires all police agencies in the state to follow a complaint policy that requires departments to accept all complaints, including those submitted anonymously. Some towns, like Hartford, have essentially bargained away their residents' rights to have their concerns taken seriously. Go figure. On October 17, 2018, Hartford Police Chief David Rosado rightfully fired Stephen Barone. Let's be clear, Chief Rosado's decision is the direct result of Hartford residents demanding accountability from their police department and Rashawn Johnson's bravery in speaking out about Barone's threats. The city's CBA provides Stephen Barone with a grievance procedure that will allow him to fight his termination if he chooses. The story is likely not over on Barone. Rather than the final decision on his termination rests with Connecticut State Board of Mediation and Arbitration. True police accountability requires a multi-pronged approach. Overhauling contracts in which cities bargain away their abilities to protect residents from abusive police employees is just one piece of the puzzle of police accountability. But it's important. For too long, cities and towns governed by city councilors and mayors elected by the people have voluntarily frittered away the government's right to hold police employees accountable, which has allowed problematic police officers to rise through the ranks. Go figure. Oh, so you're telling me it's not just the police, it's all public employees? That's what it looks like. Lack of police accountability is more than just a bad apple problem. It's a structural problem, and the city of Hartford, through the mayor's office and city council members, put itself in that position. Exactly. They do it because they want to, and then when they get pressure put on them, they act like they want to do other things, even though they don't, because if they wanted to hold these police accountable, they would have never put these unions and these CBAs in place.